I'm Scott Johnson from the Mama Tried Show, and we've been up here all day having conversations about motorcycle-related stuff, and mostly it's been street bike stuff. So I wanted to get some racers up here to talk about, not necessarily Flat Out Friday, but that's how I know you guys. So I wanted to introduce, everybody knows you as Sideways Shakes.
Yep.
I don't even know your last name, Eric.
Shulky.
Yep. Okay, all right. And this is Marko, and I don't know how to say your last name.
Lazarovich.
All right. Marko had the motorcycle at the last Flat Out Friday,
Yep.
Infamous motorcycle. You look a lot different. You get a haircut since then, and
I did. I tried to get rid of the mullet, but there's still some remnants.
Looks
it's actually more embarrassing to me to have like the frosted tips look than the blonde mullet.
It looks good. It looks good. It's youthful. What about the spray on tan? Did you?
No, that was not. That was all natural.
Oh, really?
All natural.
All right. I love it. Well, do you guys know each other? You guys know each other.
I mean, just from Flat Out Friday, pretty much, and then I think I've seen you at some flat track races. I did a few over the summer. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Come to find out, we went to the same high school.
Get out.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Brown Deer Falcons.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, and when did you get into racing? And I guess maybe we'll start there. Eric, where did you get into flat track racing, and where are you? You grew up in Brown Deer, but
I got into it about 3 years ago, right after the 115th. They were racing on the beach, and I saw them do that, and I was like, dude, I wanted to build a bike, and the other part was, get on something and feel it out, and the whole, not just the racing piece of it, but learning it, tuning it, getting it to do what you want. So I jumped in 2 feet. Picked the heaviest bike, and
you got a Sportster right away, right into hooligan, right? Yeah. Well, this is the deep end for sure.
Yeah. So 3 years going in.
All right, and how's it going?
I'm learning. It's humbling. I mean, you think you're gonna do all these things, and you realize real quick that it's not just going in a circle. There's a lot to it. There's a lot to learn. The fast guys don't seem that fast when they're riding with fast people, but then you put a slow person out there, and it's completely different, night and day.
Yeah.
So
you see how fast they really are.
Yeah. So learning real quick that it's a learning process, and you gotta dust yourself off and get back up on it and keep going.
Cool.
Yeah.
Marko, how did you get started into racing stuff? So a little bit of background. You've been in every Flat Out Friday since we started?
No, I think I started 2015.
Okay, what was the first one?
The first one was
Marko always does the goofball class, right? Do you race regular classes?
I did race regular class. With a bike from Dan Luchon.
Okay.
So he gave me a bike to use 1 year. I did not do very well.
How do you know Dan?
He works at Southeast Sales. I go to Southeast Sales, is real local to me, so I always go shoot the shit with those guys. So
yeah,
Dan's
great.
awesome. He's been a mentor, and just looking at the race bikes he was working on was like, oh man,
he's
what now?
Old school, the man.
Yeah, super cool. And he's got some awesome old bikes too. So he was always a good help. And John too, at Southeast.
Yeah, those guys are awesome.
So the
first year was.
First year was the Pacific Coast 800.
Okay.
So still the same bike. So this has been a lot of 5 years on that bike.
On the same motorcycle.
On the same motorcycle. So
every costume,
it was a Jets Pizza bike, and that was a total last minute thing that even came together. I bought the bike. I'll do inappropriate class because the PC 800 is an inappropriate bike. It is inappropriate for everything.
Basically
for
everything.
this world, let's say. It's super inappropriate. So even especially racing, right? It's just what is this thing? It's an Accord on 2 wheels. You know, like the dash is like this. The dash is like the same. Has like a gas door light that looks like the same like as an Accord. It's like, what? Who decided this thing was a great idea?
Like, yeah, this is who's going to be able to market this?
Yeah. So the first year I work at Harley on Capitol and the PDC, and I stopped out at this Jets Pizza that we would go to, and I say to the guy, like, this is Wednesday before the Friday. I'm like, hey man,
good planning.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Well, the whole thing. So the Wednesday before that, I stopped at this Jets Pizza. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna race this motorcycle at some indoor race, and he was like, okay. And I'm like, well, it's like people will think it's cool, you know, like trying to market it, like it's gonna be neat.
Trying to get him
so he's
signed
like kind of half-ass on the phone, and he's like, yeah. So hold on, like, yeah. So what are you gonna do? I'm like, it's gonna be indoors. There's gonna be a lot of people there. Like, it'd be good exposure for you.
I'll be the Jets Pizza guy.
Yeah,
and everyone will love it.
Well, at first I said, can I like just get a Jets Pizza delivery shirt or something? And the guy's like, yeah, hold on. And he comes back with the mascot head, these pants, the shirt, everything. And then he's like, puts it on the counter. He's like, what are the chances that you're going to crash this thing out? And I'm like, the bike is barely running right now. I have no idea. You know, so I'm like, and he's like, hold on. So he's on the phone, and I talk to my buddy, Paul, who's with me there. I'm like, Paul, I don't know what the hell to tell this guy. I'm like, 30% chance I'll crash it. He goes, all right, well, just to let you know, this thing is like 4 G's for the costume. So if you mess it up, I got to pay that. So here you go. All right, cool, man. So I left with it. I didn't take the head because I painted my own helmet and whatever. Duplicolor, shout out Duplicolor for the spray can job. But so I left, and he didn't get my name, anything. Like, I just had his number. So I show back up on Monday after. So the race went like surprisingly well. We won. Like, it was hilarious, I thought. And yeah, a bunch of people smashing into me. The bike was so stupid. We like cut pieces off the Jets pizza boxes and like just taped them to the side, and like that's all it was. And then like just and then there was a stack of pizza boxes on the back, and then like weird Jet stuff, like Eugene Jets, I think Jet maybe, the founder of Jets. We like cut that off the box and then like clear taped it to the side of the bike. But anyway, so we won. We show up on Monday, and he goes, dude, that was awesome.
Oh, he saw it?
Yeah. He's like, I had all these people calling me. They're like, hey, dude, I didn't even know you were in the flat track. This is so awesome. And he's like, yeah. What? Oh, that guy. So he's like, I kind of forgot about it. So he's like, so he said, then I get a call from corporate Jets, and they're like, hey, buddy, this was great guerrilla marketing, like, excellent job. So he goes, dude, I will bring pizza to your whole work. You guys want pizza? I'll bring it for the whole place. I'm like, yeah, dude, I work at the Harley-Davidson Product Development Center. Like, I need to get a number for you, but I think it's going to be like 600 plus people. And he's like, yeah. So it's actually 720 people. They shut down the cafeteria. They shut down all like food service employees for that day. Get out. And then he brought over, he's like, give me like 3 days notice. Oh, that's so awesome. I told him, he brought over a minivan full of pizzas for the PDC. No way. So, and I was kind of a new employee at that time. I think that was either 2015 or I think it was 2016. And he, yeah, so then people were like, oh, pizza guy. Or they'd be like, you're the guy on that pizza bike? That was awesome or whatever. So like,
all right.
Yeah, all right. Great.
Got you some clout.
Yeah. Or I can shut up now.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I was looking for some background on that costume, so that was great. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk to Eric, but like just really quick, how are you so good at riding that bike? Do you ride it? Like, how are you so good at riding the PCH? Or you're just a good motorcycle rider, period?
I'm not. Plot twist, I'm not very good, I feel like. I mean, I feel like the same, like you're talking about when you see like fast people ride or something, you're like, damn. You know, like you just get
yeah.
a breakthrough on something. Like I used to do track days and road racing like a tiny bit. And I remember one day I was like, dude, I'm crushing it. Like, dude, I'm just killing it. And then some super chunky control rider passes me at Blackhawk, knee down in the carousel. Thumbs up, buddy, on a slower bike.
Really?
And it's like, yeah, good one. You're doing great. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing great. But I want to be you, man. Like, I want to be that good guy. So yeah, I never think of myself as like a good rider, but
yeah.
I think I did a pretty good job on that bike.
Well,
too,
you got a showmanship thing going on. Maybe it's the costumes that are empowering. You know,
I think so. I think it like raises my level of jerkness, and I just want to I want to put on a show, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's all about the smiles, you know, and like you can see you like smiling even inside your helmet, you know.
Well,
so
I mean, because I like the phrase "fortune favors the bold." So like, I'm like, man, if you're gonna do it, like, just do it. Even if I'm a jerk, whatever, or like, even if I have this like big attitude or something, like, hey, man, it'll be entertaining for somebody. So yeah. Let's do it. And then it happened. It turned out well for me in those cases. So
right on. Well, speaking of fortune favors the bold, Eric, like I heard of the brand Sideways Shakes like long before, like 3 years ago, and I thought, who's this like who's this entity, you know, that like seems to have mastered like flat track marketing, you know, like he's like this pro who just touched down in Wisconsin and like he's dominating, you know, and then I met you, and you got like a personality to match. So like I love the Stoke, and I think you bring a lot to the sport. So
I appreciate it.
Yeah, like how did you? What's the flavor behind Sideways Shakes?
I get that a lot. You know, people approach me, and they're, you know, I don't know. I didn't realize you were brand new to this. I thought you were, you know, this guy that had this history. You know, being in my late 30s, they're like, oh, you must have done this your whole life. You know, so often when people get to know that, you know, I'm new to this stuff and I'm doing all of it, it kind of blows their mind. They're like, well, how'd you get here? You know, and took the ball and ran with it. Was, you know, seeing you guys follow the leader kind of thing. And a piece of the puzzle for me is the artistic side of the whole thing. It's that approach that you can leverage these other outlets, the social medias, the whatnots, and use it in a way that it's creative. It's almost meditative for me. It's like, well, you know, I'm gonna blow off some steam here and do some whatever, and I have these little side projects that spin off, and you know, I put them out into the universe, and that's what Sideways Shakes ends up becoming.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, how did the name come about?
Well, the nickname Shakes came from high school. Actually, it was I was tall, so they put me on the basketball team, but I wasn't good. You know, I was like B straight. You know, I sat on the bench, but they put me in, and there was a game that I was hot. I was making shots, and the varsity team always sat in the bench or in the bleachers and watched the JV play before they would start, and they started chanting, put in shakes, and nobody knew who that was. And then I went out, they all started cheering, oh, I'm Shakes. And I guess it was the way I shot a basketball or something like that, and the name, I just owned it, you know, and I'm like, well, that's who I am. And so from high school on, I was always called Shakes. And when I started building this bike, Sideways Shakes, it just dawned on me, like, oh, there it is. All right. You know, the hat fits, put it on. You know?
All right.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, and what is your day job? So you work at Harley, Marko, and you have a technical job too, right? Or is it mechanical or?
I do material estimating for a roofing distributor.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Staring at blueprints.
Yeah. But you were into motorcycles, like, or did you have a mini bike or like a dirt bike when you were?
I have a street
like,
bike.
Yeah.
Yep. I ride a Road King. I've been riding it for the last like 8 years.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's actually how I got to the beach races, and then I'm inside the circle, and I'm like, I got to get in on this.
That was cool. Yeah. That was fun being.
That was a magical day.
Yeah,
the way that fog came down.
Yeah,
and
that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool that Harley put that thing on. I mean, it must have cost them a fortune to do that race. That sand was just unforgiving, and to try to make a track out of that, and like I don't even know how there's like a beach, there's like a Friends of Bradford Beach thing that they're very protective of that little piece of the coastline, and I can't even fathom how much money they must have paid them to just be like, just let us do this, and everything's gonna be fine.
It worked out. It was magical. And what's funny is I watched it and I didn't realize the technicality of riding in sand like that. Like, I've never ridden in dirt, let alone sand. And then you end up finding sand once, and you're like, well, what they were doing that day was something way different.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, definitely.
Almost a half mile.
Sand is like, if I talk to somebody and they're like, "Oh, I love riding sand," I'm like, "Okay,
you don't know.
You're okay with pain. You know what I mean? You have some humility.
Yes.
You know what I mean? If
nobody looks good.
Yeah.
Well, where do you guys see, you guys are like both in the flat track world and motorcycle racing world, like any things any trends that you see coming up in the future, or like any ideas or things that you want to do, or if you were making the rules and you were running flat track races or motorcycle racing, anything, like any thoughts on what you would do, events you would have, rules you would make?
Well, so I've just been involved with the King of the Baggers team from Harley Davidson.
Oh, nice.
So
that's amazing how that thing is like caught fire. That whole genre is cool. I love it. First time I heard about it, I was like, what the fuck? This is so weird, but it's so amazing.
No, and like, oh, haha, it's Baggers Racing. And then like, oh, wow, what they're doing, huh?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some of the times, even like testing times at Blackhawk and stuff from last year, beat my buddies on 600.
No way.
Stuff. So
really?
It's like, what? Wasn't this a
joke class?
Did anybody tell these guys that this was a joke? Like, originally? Like, why are they going so fast? So then, like, I mean, yeah, we've got legit go fast parts on these bikes. I mean, they're awesome. Like, yeah, it's a huge, heavy bike, but I mean, man, like we've got skeletonized, crazy swing arm. Shout out Scott and Scott who designed it, but like a bunch of like really cool in-house parts. Like it really is a factory effort. Like it's pretty awesome. But
Killer.
Okay, I'll go back and answer the regular question here. To me, it's like all of these. Any class so you can get more people racing motorcycles, right, and make it available to everybody, right?
Absolutely.
So you get the idea of the King of the Baggers stuff is like those are the most popular bikes in the U.S., right? Well, meanwhile, like Super Sport and 1000 class, Japanese and European manufacturers, like they're all kind of built to these specs, right? So as long as we can get more people in, right?
Yeah.
Whether that's class balancing or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like 600cc road racing stuff is kind of...
Well, yeah, it's kind of been passé it was the hottest thing forever and ever and ever, and it's been kind of passé. So maybe
So how do we get more, like, whether it's with restrictions or whatever else, like how do we get all these different bikes of different power levels and weights to be able to race against each other? So I think that's an interesting thing, right? Like, and then, I mean, really, we see it in baggers, but you'll always see it. It's not any secret. When you're racing, you're always going to be fueling, like, real-world development, too, right? So, like, for instance, I'm in calibration, so I calibrate bikes and, do ECM control. Well, hey, this works pretty good. And then a racer gets it. Dude, this sucks here. This is terrible in this area. Oh, well, I thought it was pretty good. But like it's a totally different use case, Right. And then, so it's just anything that we can do to get more people out there. Yeah, so even with the Indian Flat Track is now like a purpose-built bike. Like if you can go back to like homologated versions just to make more people available to do the...
I agree. It's the competition. If you can get a group of guys going the same speed around a circle, it's more enjoyable than two dudes way out in front, and then the rest of them are in the back.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
and
which is great about hooligan racing, right? Because there's so
Absolutely.
many people in it, and boonie bike racing, because there's so many people in it.
Yeah.
And no matter where you fall on the talent spectrum,
You're battling.
you got someone to battle with.
Yeah.
Right.
I saw that. I mean, in hooligan, we were talking about that earlier. With JJ was up here and Mike Casta was up here, and started talking about like maybe it would be good if there was two different separate classes. So like an ex-pro who's getting on a Sportster and racing is like. It's not racing with someone who just got into the sport,
Right, right,
So
right.
it's just the talent is so wide apart, but still at the same time, anybody can buy a Sportster, kind of cut the tabs off of it, and you can go racing, which makes it really accessible
Right.
and really easy to figure out.
I think that thing with like two classes always gets racing people,
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
Like, dude, I'm a JV guy.
Yeah.
Hey, easy pal, your time, show your JV. And also like whatever it is, I think you guys capture this super well. And if I'm like really racing, like I have to remind myself, hey, dudes, this shit is for fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no one's making money out here on this, dude. Oh, you're in JV and stuff. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares about your racing. Are you having fun?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Like, dude, enough with like the big egos and everything. I think that's captured really well.
I mean,
or, like the old RGN series, like all that stuff is like, is it fun? Cool.
Yeah.
If not, well, go home, dude. If you're gonna ruin my fun, get out of here.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
the JV class last night was hectic.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a great race.
It was really good.
Yeah,
it was
they're
really
banging.
good.
Yeah.
Because if you put a bunch of like talented people all together, it's going to be great racing, and that's
Yep.
what it's all about. Everyone's smiling inside
Yeah.
and
Right.
having a great time.
Yeah. And when you're banging bars or when you're chasing, like if you're not the fastest guy and you're racing somebody back in 5th, 6th, you get off the track and that's a lot of stoke. You're like, dude, that was awesome. We were right on top of each other, and you have that story,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
what it's about.
Yeah,
Dude,
exactly.
racing for 10th can be just as fun as
Yeah,
racing for first.
absolutely.
They say.
Well, I want to thank you guys for coming up here. It's been really great to
Yeah.
talk.
Thanks
Eric
for having
Schilke, Sideways Shakes,
Yeah.
Marko
Lazarovich.
from the Motorcycle and Jets Pizza fame. Thanks a lot for
Great
coming up,
pizza.
you guys.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Cheers.
See ya.